Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. Glad to have you here. Today we are going to be talking about how we put down Bretonnia. And so everybody is Bretonnia and it is awful. And so we're going to be putting down some Bretonnians today. And so I have a great custom army built here for you guys that I think works really well against just a wide variety of Bretonnian builds. So we're going to start off here with Karl Franz, and why I'm picking Karl Franz is he is one of the few lords that has armor-piercing weapon strength without a griffin. So if you look at Borstadbringer, no, mostly just regular, but you look at Karl Franz, he has mostly armor-piercing. So that is super important when you are fighting one-on-one without a griffin, because we are not going to win the air as the Empire, so we are going to stay very on the ground, and we're going to get on a barded warhorse for that extra armor. So very powerful lord here. We're going to take off Foeseeker, and we're going to keep everything else. And really, we don't have the money to spare for these items. That's like a spearman unit, so that's too much. Always penny pinching. We're going to follow this up. Karl Franz doesn't have healing, so if you want Karl Franz, you have to have a Jade Wizard. So we're just going to put him on the horse. We have Earth Bloom, Arcane Conduit, we have Awakening of the Wood, and Earthblood. And so you'll be spamming Awakening of the Wood to heal all of your units, and then you'll be spamming Earthblood on your Demigryph Knights, which are the second portion of this army. Again, we're just making up for the lack of a Griffin here. We don't have Terror anymore. And so that is very, very important to have terror in your army. And so that's why we are bringing the Royal Altar Gryphites, because they cause terror. Usually you have Karl Franz or your Boris Todbringer on a Griffin for that, but we don't have that, so we are going to be bringing these guys to terrorize whoever's near Karl Franz. We want a main line here, and with the introduction of Foot Squires, we are going to need armor piercing, which is something you don't usually need against Bretonnia. So 4 great swords here, and they're going to wreck anything that Bretonnia sends their way, especially when supported by Life Bloom. They're just going to wreck Foot Squires, they're going to wreck everything. Need to bring them, and they'll work against anything Bretonnia sends to you. Cavalry, because of their armor piercing, cheap infantry they'll cut through, and elite infantry they will cut through. So we have those guys. We're going to bring some spearmen because, of course. I'm playing around with this build. I don't know. You could bring 2 handgunners here. Or you could bring just one handgunner, the silver bullets, which would make it a little bit easier to protect. And one of these guys. Yeah, so you can go 2 handgunners or the silver bullets. And an extra spearman, and I tried it today, and I definitely think the silver bullets are the way to go. Stock is nice, just throws them off a little bit. Peasant bowmen can really slaughter handgunners for a very cheap price, so the stock can help. We have some extra money here, so we're gonna buff up our main line here, give them a nice just 1 leadership boost, which actually I think is very important. And we're going to throw a increased unit rank here for the Demigryph Knights. So just to spend all our money, and look at that, it's perfect. 0 remaining funds. The perfect build. Okay, so there's some strategies here. You're not going to win the cav engagement out in the open ground. The questing knights will decimate your farly overpriced Demigryph Knights without the proper support and without the proper healing. So you need to keep them in tight against your line as much as humanly possible, and just form an attacking box with an attacking dwarf box with your troops. Silver bullets going after Pegasus Knights and Flyers. Great swords, you just got to get them into the fight with as little damage to them as possible. You just got to charge straight in and start crushing in. and start getting those heals down as soon as possible, because, as you know, Lore of Life does not resurrect unit models. So definitely have to be proactive with the healing. So yeah, you want to kind of keep a tight ball, using your Spearmen and your Demigryph Knights to protect your heroes and your Silver Bullets. And so we will be seeing a couple battles today. I played a ton. I played like 10 in multiplayer. Trying to just get a feel of the new meta. And so this is my first attempt. You can see I have the 2 handgunner variation. And you can see my ally here, or my enemy here. Lots of peasant bowmen, some questing knights, peasant mob in the front, I like that, and then 2 battle pilgrims, and 2 foot squires in the back, with some trebuchets here for opening fire. He's also got a paladin corps here, 2 guys on foot, and he's got, where is he? King Leon on Bicky. Definitely love the pick. Powerful Lord. And so, you know, whatever, I'm coming down the hill. Trebuchet fire coming in. My greatswords are just going to tear through this infantry. I was taking fire here, so I decided to pop that Earth Blue, Life Bloom, or whatever it is. And here, I'm casting Earth Blood as my greatswords come in, trying to prevent as much damage as possible, keep them alive. And here come his paladins in with the peasant mob. They are just going to get slaughtered. And I'm just going to send Karl Franz in there because I have armor piercing, and he does not. So he's going to do very little damage to my 120 armor dude here. You can see here playing defensive with my Demigryph Knights. I can't let these guys get a charge on me. I will lose. You can see my handgunners opening fire on Leon Kerr, getting some early damage on him, and just crushing through this very cheap peasant mob. Here my Demigryph Knights catch his questing knights. That's exactly what you want. Charge them through your own spears. Here they come. He's sacrificing some questing knights for some handgunners, and that's a trade I am willing to make every day of the week, because my handgunners are only 600 gold. You can see crush through there. Here come the battle pilgrims. Great swords are going to tear through these guys without their armor piercing damage. But the foot squires are coming in to support. I like that pick. But you can see here Karl Franz wrecking these paladins' faces with Galmaraz on his warhorse. And you can see just how quickly my Demigryph Knights, with all that spear support, finish off these guys. Trebuchet still opening fire. Here, you know, casting Awakening the Wood just to heal all my units. Sending in some spearmen to support. And now I've got so much left. I have the cavalry advantage now. You can see just how well my greatswords held up. They really don't need too much support past the Lord of Life healing. My handgunners really can't do anything against Leon Kerr's regenerating, especially at that distance. They're a little too far away. But here come my Demigryph Knights. They're going to terrify these guys off. And I need to deal with these trebuchets because this is just a blob. It's going to be great for those trebuchets. You can see another Earth Blood coming down. Got 3 greatswords there. That's exactly what you want. And you can see just this battle is going to wrap up pretty quickly. You can see just how well that terror routes off those things. So really, really good, those Royal Outdoor Graphites. Leon Kerr just taking so much fire here. It's hard for him to move forward. And you can see these foot squires, even against the damaged greatswords, just really don't cut it against greatswords one-on-one. With a $600 Grail unit and the attack in the front, they are going to win over there. But I have so many other units here that it's going to be okay. Leon Kerr lands over here into my spearmen and my handgunners, and I'm going to be pulling my Demigryph Knights in to support. So you can see, and then yeah, it's over at that point. So good stuff. And you see, even though he didn't bring very many foot squires, which this build is kind of trying actively to counter, it still worked, and it still did its job. You know, it doesn't really matter what they bring too much. So here we go. Here's another one. This one is, again, a interesting battle. Interesting build. Lots of men-at-arms, so lots of cheap infantry in the front. Definitely expected more foot squires. And a huge amount of these questing knights. So very, very dangerous here. I saw these and I was instantly worried. And this guy is going to do something that is very, very common. Yeah, so he's just got his questing knights, his men-at-arms. He does have Leon Leoncoeur on his horse. And so Karl Franz is going to win that because Leon Leoncoeur does not have armor piercing. But he does have this really awesome, really expensive green knight here running out to meet my handgunners. So here he comes. Karl Franz is going to try and go duel him. Come on, shoot him. Where is it? Oh, yeah, here. So nice stop there. But Karl Franz doesn't do magic damage, so Green Knight is going to do very well against him. His armor piercing counts for nothing in this matchup. Yeah, and Lore of Heavens. Very, very interesting. Like an old Bretonnian build almost here. So Karl Franz is going to fall back. We're going to shoot him some more. So handgunners you can see being useful there. But if we had the silver bullets, this guy would be dead in like a single volley. So again, that's why I like to bring those guys rather than two handgunners. And there I'm going to switch targets. Green Knight coming in here. He is very, very hard to kill, and he is unbreakable, so this is a great use of him. Just kind of get in there. And, oh man, this is brutal. Watch this. This is amazing. I didn't know it did this much damage. But, holy, look at those greatswords. They went down by half. That one went by half. So, great use charging in this guy, and then using him to force your opponent to blob up, and then lightning bolting him. So, tons of damage there. You can see I'm actually doing some good damage to the Green Knight, but he does pull out. Karl Franz taking some shots. And this is what a lot of players will do. They have an armor-piercing cab, and they're just going to come straight in and just crush through. And that's why you keep your demigriffs nice and tight in the middle, so you can punish something like this. If you just let them get away with it, you're going to lose the battle. You have to make it so that they lose their cavalry in the attempt to do this. And so a couple ways to do this is by just having those demigriff knights and then having those spearmen nearby and having the handgunners right there. And so you can see quickly cleaning up the questing knights. Very expensive unit there. There we go. And then this one's the only one that's left. And so, yeah, you definitely have to be ready for that, or they will just decimate your front line. You can see Leon Leoncoeur taking a little bit of damage, but not too much. With Scroll of Shielding, that's a good cast. Oh, another devastating lightning bolt there. Dropping some models on my demigriffs, and that can be really dangerous because you remember Earthblood does not resurrect. So you really gotta be careful of that and watch out for things that kill your models in one hit. Is something you're not gonna want your. That was terrifying. Sorry, something dropped off my desk. It's something you're not gonna want to put your demigriff knights against. You can see here, terrified off the field by the Green Knight. So I'm going to send Karl Franz in. I'm like, Karl Franz is fine. He's at full health. Going up against half-health Green Knight. But he popped Dolores Blade. You see that? Plus 44% weapon damage. Plus 34 melee attack. And he does have magic damage. Magic attacks. So he can crush through my armor pretty quick. So you can see here, he's having a hard time dealing with my handgunners. Because he crushed all his cavalry in the center, my handgunners are kind of like taking free range, and they shoot at whoever breaks through the line. So here I'm going to be shooting at these foot squires and doing a ton of damage, just decking those guys. So here you can see Karl Franz sending Leon running, which is exactly what he's good for, why you bring the armor-piercing variant of Karl Franz. You can see just how well the greatswords are doing, even though they got charged, and they were fighting the Green Knight, and they're fighting foot squires. They're still there, you know. So definitely proving their worth. Still got my Royal Altar of Griffites. Still got my handgunners. Another great lightning bolt coming down, sending my greatswords flying. Earth, awakening the wood there. My terror-causing griffins or griffites are going to come in here, and you can see, yeah, these guys are not going to last long. Routing, routing, routing. Just that terror is so important. And here we go. Look at this, 1v1 time for Karl Franz. And he's just getting the smackdown laid on him. You can see here just dropping his health so fast. The Green Knight is definitely a hero killer, and that's kind of what you want to use him for. So you can see here his health has not changed almost at all, and he's taken down Karl Franz here. Even though the rest of the army routs, he's unbreakable, so he'll just stay alive for like 10 minutes. So my handgunner's shooting in, finishing that off. Pyrrhic victory. So, just an example of a more direct Bretonnian strategy and how you can counter it with the high and tight demigriff formation. Here, I played a ton of games here with RTK Jixie. It started off with him bringing greenskins. Well, he wanted me to play Bretonnia. So I played Bretonnia against his greenskins, and man, he just like lays the smackdown on me, like 5 games in a row. I think it takes me 4 attempts with different Bretonnia builds to take him out, and I'll talk about that greenskin build probably in another video. But I definitely really like it, and it's definitely a great counter to Bretonnia. Yeah, but what we are going to be looking at is this. This battle right here. Yeah, this is the one. Tons of foot squires. Probably what you're going to see in an online battle, I would think. Expensive, great anti-large cavalry, armor-piercing core, no ranged units, and some fodder units in the form of the spearmen at arms. You got a little Earthblood. You got a little Grail Reliquae. So the terror of my griffins is not going to do anything until this is off the field. And we got Leon Kerr. So great choice. And here, you can see I have made that alteration. So I do have the silver bullets, and I do have just an extra spearman. But otherwise, my army is the same. And so I see that he doesn't. This is an open map, very even. So I was looking around. He doesn't have any extra stuff. So I'm going to be pulling in my spearmen here to blob and protect my more expensive units from the charge, because I no longer need them in the back. 3 is more than enough to try and deal with these Pegasus Knights. You can see I'm getting some nice opening volleys, but they are at the edge of their range, and so they're not dealing too much damage. Pegasus Knights do have shields as well. Something to be aware of. You can see my silver bullets here. Trying their best. Shooting, I think I'm trying to shoot at the Grail Reliquae right now, but I won't have much time to shoot at that. You can see the main lines are going to engage. Earthblood coming down. I think that's his Earthblood. Here getting some nice shots on the Pegasus Knights, dropping their hit points, but not very much of their models. Curse of the Midnight Wind coming down here. I love this. And it has been changed, minus 34 attack. And he's just going to come in after Karl. And Karl's going to take a decent amount of damage. But I do have my Demigryph Knights close by, high and tight, ready to hop in on anybody who attacks. So using your cav defensively, so important with this build. Otherwise, your greatswords are going to be charged in the side and crushed. Or just charged up the middle. Or charged from behind. So, really, you got to keep them. You got to be a little dwarven box that is charging forward. And so here you can see the Pegasus Knights not going to last long against that spear support. I do have these handgunners looking for a shot. And Leon Kerr is going to pull out and fly away to recharge. And you can see just this middle blob. You can see just doing so well against the Foot Squires. Even though they're getting healed, even though they have Curse of the Midnight Wind, it's still going to do, they're still going to do an amazing job. Just kind of holding the line, cutting through these guys. when, you know, there's a lot more of the enemy. Here, this is a great scene. Leon Kerr running away, but my handgunner is not going to let that happen. Gonna send him flying back down to the ground where Karl Franz is. But you can see how well his leadership doesn't even change. All confident. And that's because of the Grail Reliquary. Anything around it basically will not rout until extreme army losses. And so you can see here, my great swords are losing. But it was 2 units against 1 over here. And I do have these silver bullets in support, ready to clean these guys up. But you can see my main corps doing really, really well. I'm going to keep my regular Griffins over here to finish up the Pegasus Knights, while my terror-causing ones are going to flank around and start routing some of this infantry. You can see I just blobbed in my spears in the back when they charged in. Where's Karl? Let's go find him. Laying a smackdown on somebody. Oh, he's over here, making sure they don't get my handgunners. He's pretty low health. He's half health, so I was trying to keep him safe, away from the foot squires and the anti-large units. But yeah, you can see here, just these guys are going to rout. And with the loss of the Lord, really, it's going to be what swings the tide in my favor. And the favor of this Anti-Bretonnian build. So the keys to this army: use your Lore of Life proactively. Use it as much as possible. If you're out of mana, you're doing a good job. 2, keep your Demigryph Knights back really close to your heroes, really deep in your formation, and use your range units to target flyers and cav and wherever your infantry break. And then, of course, use your spearmen to delay on the sides. So definitely fun battle. Definitely, I think, a good build that you can use in your quick battle shenanigans. 102 on the great swords, 81 here. You can see just everybody kind of pulling their weight, except for the spears. They do their job by dying. Expected a little bit more kills in Karl Franz, but he was mostly fighting expensive cavalry units, so to be expected a lower kill count there. But anyways, great game to my opponent. I had a lot of fun playing with RTK Jixi today, and learned a lot about Bretonnia, learned a lot about greenskins, and I hope to show you guys that build in the future. But anyways, so here is your Anti-Bretonnia Empire build. Take it out. Tell me how it goes. Tell me what changes you make in your army, and just what you think in general. Anyways, thanks for watching, and that's that.